Welcome to Thursday, our meditation time together. Thank you for being here today. We are in our final day of Shoftim, this week's Torah portion. It's a beautiful parsha about justice and judges and kings and prophets, and there are two lines I wanted to bring to your attention today. One of them is about the king. There's a description of who should be chosen as king, and first it says, this person shouldn't amass any money, they can't have lots of wives, they can't have gold and silver, and just there's a lot of prohibitions against the king becoming extremely rich. But more importantly, there's a line that says, his heart should not be raised over everybody else. In other words, just because he's the king, he doesn't have to feel as if he's better than everybody else. It's interesting because yesterday really was about how we judge ourselves and how we're in this trance of unworthiness, and then we think about a king, and that's the person who has it all, and the tendency there is to think you're actually better than everybody else, as opposed to being you'd be in a trance of worthiness, I guess, is what it would be if you were the king. And as Mel Brooks said, it's good to be king, but I think it's a wonderful warning for us if we're getting too haughty about something, to remember that even the king's heart should not be lifted above other people. And then, so I just wanted to kind of bring that to everyone's attention. But the most interesting line, this is one of the more interesting lines in the entire Torah, has to do with when they're on the battlefield. When the Israelites are on the battlefield against another nation, the officers line up all of the soldiers and they say, listen, if there's anyone here who just bought a house but they've never been able to live in it, you can go. If you've planted a vineyard, but you've never been able to pick the fruits from the vineyard, the grapes, you can go. If you got married, but you never were able to be with your wife, you may go. And then comes the most curious of all. If you're afraid, if you're fearful, if you don't feel like you have the heart to be able to go out in battle, go home, because if you stay, you're going to affect the hearts of the other soldiers that you're with, and it will make them feel afraid, like they can't win. What an incredible teaching that is, that when we're approaching something, well, I don't want to say if you're too afraid to do it, you shouldn't do it, but that it's more like it's saying our attitude when we do something affects other people. And so if we're going into a meeting with others, we're planning something with them, or we have to do something with them, and we have to do a program, or we have to do a trip, or whatever it is that you have to do with someone, even if it's a social gathering when you're getting together, if you're fearful, if you're in a bad mood, if you're full of unworthiness, and you enter into the room or the place or the action or the program or whatever it is you have to do, with that sense of fear, uncertainty, unworthiness, it affects the people around us. Yeah, it does. Perhaps, we always look down upon the idea that that you don't want to cover up your feelings. But in these particular cases, what a wonderful gift it is that if you're not into it, if you're not feeling it, then maybe you shouldn't be there. Because if you're there with a bad mood and you're there and you're not thinking about it positively, then it's going to ruin it for everybody else. I just find that an incredible teaching. Not only do I find that aspect of it, that the influence that we have, if we're feeling a certain way about something, actually does influence the other people and causes them to act differently, perhaps, or have fear in their hearts as well. But just the idea that if you're a soldier and you're afraid and you don't think you can do it, go home. I mean, I can't imagine anybody admitting that and actually going home when you're ready to go out into battle. But, I was thinking, within our people, there is this incredible compassion for those whose minds might be distracted by something else. That's why the person who plants the vineyard but has never seen the fruit can go. That's why the person who's built a house and never lived in it can go. That's why the person who was just married but wasn't able to be with his wife can go. Because those people, they're not going to be thinking about the action that they have to do. They're not going to be thinking about the battle they're about to go in. Their minds are going to be distracted. And they probably won't be good soldiers. So indeed, if your mind is in those places, or you're so afraid you really don't think you're going to be able to fight, that might have dire consequences for the other people you're with. So I think part of what we can think about today is, how much do we bring our fears, our anxiety into the things that we do in such a way that it affects other people in a negative way? And one thing that might be interesting to notice in our thoughts is, are our thoughts filled with anxiety or fear? Are our thoughts filled with, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this? And it might be interesting to note that and to figure out afterward how we could maybe turn that around. That, okay, I have this fear, but I'm not afraid. I'm going to be able to do what I need to do when the time comes. If I'm about to do something that's public, if I'm not feeling a little bit nervous about it, if I'm not feeling, butterflies in me, I feel like there's something wrong. I feel like any time that I do something that might cause a little stress, it's okay to feel that. It's okay to feel that energy, because you can harness that energy and you can use that towards the positive. But if it's so far gone that you really don't think you can, you might want to think about whether you want to participate, because it may ruin it for other people. So let's get started on our meditation, our breathing. I wanted to start a little earlier. We didn't have as much time yesterday, so I wanted to take a good amount of time today to really settle in, get ourselves ready for Shabbat. It's hard to believe Shabbat is tomorrow, and it's Rosh Chodesh. It's the beginning of Elul. We're going to start to think about what we've done over this past year, and especially we can think about our fears and think about our anxieties, what we're afraid of, as we move into thinking about how we've been this last year, so that we can go into the new year renewed and fresh, and hopes for the future. So let's get ourselves comfortable and get into a position that is comfortable yet strong. And we're just going to breathe normal. We're not fixing anything. We're not pushing our breath. We're just observing what our breath is like and what our body feels like. Are you feel any tension anywhere? And remember, we're just allowing things to be just as they are. We can get into fix-it mode in 23 minutes. But for now, let's keep ourselves thinking about just our breath, the way things are for now, allowing that to happen, observing, noticing, and bringing ourselves into the end of the week in a beautiful way. And remember, our thoughts will take us away. That's part of this. And the muscle, the practice, is taking us from our thoughts back into our heart, taking us from our thoughts back into our breath, taking us from our thoughts back into being a part of nature, a non-judgmental, kind of blank place where we can just exist for a moment so that we can come back into the world refreshed and renewed. Just a little reminder that if you have thoughts coming into your head, there's no need to judge that. Doesn't mean you're doing a poor job of your meditating. Let's just remember to bring ourselves back in loving kindness to our breath once again. For the remaining minutes that we have together, let us turn to asking for our feelings. I invite you to say to yourself on each breath, may I feel joy. Or you might say, may I feel joyous. May I feel whole, or may I feel wholeness. May I feel joy and wholeness. The kind of joy that wells up from your heart. Joy is in gladness. Joy is in a heart feeling so whole that it exudes joyfulness. May I feel joyful. It's very hard nowadays. May I feel whole. May I feel as if all the parts of my life come together. May I feel joyous. May I feel whole. Say that to yourself on each breath. You can say it out loud, you can say it in your mind. Sometimes it helps to mouth it or say it out loud. May I feel joyous. May I feel whole. May I feel joyous. May I feel whole. That word, wholeness, in Hebrew, is the same root that's used for the word peace. So one might say we're asking for joy, wholeness, and peace. May I feel whole. May I feel wholeness. May I feel joy. Allow that for several breaths as they come out. I invite you to ask for feelings of joy and wholeness. May I feel joy. May I feel wholeness. If you'd like to invite someone to be with you so that you can offer them, I invite you to invite them. May you feel joy. May you feel joyous. May you feel whole and wholeness. May you feel joy. May you feel wholeness. And we offer that to someone for just a couple of breaths. And then let's pull it back to ourselves. May I feel joy. May I feel wholeness. May I feel joy and wholeness, joyful and whole. And for the remaining minute or so that we have together, let us just go back to our breath, feeling that joy, feeling that wholeness as we center ourselves. We join nature as a living, breathing being. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you have a beautiful weekend and a peaceful Shabbat. May you feel joyous and may you feel whole. Have a wonderful evening.